Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the one, the only Cassidy Hinds. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. So obviously, if you don't remember, Cassidy, of course, is a driver from you may mostly see her at Colorado National, racing, trucks, super late models, all that. Just to give a quick overview, just kind of just remind everybody what you do and all that.
Yeah, so I am a race car driver. I race a super late model at Colorado National Speedway. I've raced pro trucks and micro sprints on dirt, legends, pro late models in California. We've actually dabbled in the SRL series quite a bit, running pro late models and super late models. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Yep. So I know that this past year has definitely had its ups and downs, especially with the beginning of the season. I know we talked about waiting to I know the engine for one of the cars that you had where it was delayed. So once you got that then you got going, and just how was this season for you?
The season had its ups and downs. It was overall pretty good. We finished fourth in overall points at Colorado National Speedway, which was actually pretty good. We weren't points racing, I guess you could say. We were just trying to better our finishes. And so we were actually, it was pretty good. We were able to get our engine back before the start of the season. So
Yeah.
that was good. We only missed two races, which weren't CNS races. They were Tucson races, but that's unfortunate too, because they were the SRL race and the Chili Willy. So we missed those, but we got our engine back right in time for our full season to start. So we were very happy. I was able to race pro trucks and super lates. I dabbled in the pro late model a little bit in California with SRL. We didn't run as much of it as we would have liked, as much of it as we have in the past, I should say. But we were still able to get in it and run it. Those races are always hard though. For some reason, I just never get the luck with those ones. It's racing.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. I know that there's a lot of racers in the short track community when when it's just when you're just when it's luck or it's something, it's like when you're in a slump and you're not doing well and stuff like that. What is that? What was the biggest thing that you learned from all the the successful times and all the not so good times this year?
The biggest thing I've learned is that like you can't dwell on it. If you have one bad night, you can't be like, "Man, I had this terrible night. It was just the worst night ever. It's just awful. It's this, it's that." You can't dwell on it. Like you can be upset in the moment, but at least for me, like if I dwell on it, it just makes the situation worse and it makes it to where it'll affect my racing in the future, and I don't want that. If I have like one bad race at a certain track, I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm going back there. I'm going to do this again. It's going to be like this. It's never changing. I don't want to be like that. I want to remind myself that it was one race, it happened, it's over, and we'll try and do better this time. Or maybe this won't happen this time. It's not every time. So yeah, that's really what I try to do. I try to keep myself, I guess, calmer throughout it and feel the emotion to begin with, but let it go after a while.
Okay. Best race from this past season.
Hmm, that's a toss up. I'd say probably the championship night at Colorado National Speedway. It was 100 lapper, and we led, I want to say like 85 laps straight through. It was a straight through race. We had no cautions, and I led 85 laps of it, starting in fourth. And then I finished fourth, I think, after that. We just had tire wear and the car was hot and it needed a break. It needed a caution really bad.
Yeah, for sure. You know, to how would you like, I know you got to do a lot of cool things, this past season, but I kind of go back to all the things that you got to do. It's like, yeah, geez, I can't believe I got to do all those things. Like, what was like the thing that was like, man, I can't believe I did this. Like, what was like the one race that you were in or something like that where you didn't think you would be in?
Hmm. I'd say probably the SRL Southwest Tour race with the super late model, both here in Colorado and at Kern County Raceway, with Nate Clar Motorsports super late model. Um, I'd say more of the Nate Clar Motorsports one though, because they've been talking about putting me in one of their super late models for a while, and I've ran pro late models and junior late models for them for with them for almost 4 years. Um, and they had talked about putting me in a super, and then they're just like, "Hey, let's put you in a super and a pro late." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I got to run both, and I really didn't think that I would be able to do that. Mainly for the sole purpose of I didn't think that they would want me to run both. Um, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be,
Yeah.
tiring out wise. But it was difficult. Um I guess I don't really know what word I want to say for it. It was difficult on a mental note,
Yeah.
trying not to let myself get tired, especially for the super late model because it was so different compared to the pro late model at that track.
Yeah. You talk about like, the mental side of racing. Like, you talked about earlier about being calm and all that stuff. And, how do you feel like just overall, you know, the mentality was for you this year, whether it was good, whether it wasn't, was there like one particular one where it was like, oh, I really handled this well.
Yeah, I think most of my season was kind of on a good mental side. I was pretty positive. I like to say I was pretty positive all season, pretty much. Really, the only times that I wasn't was if I went to a race that I felt like we could have done better. And then I was just, like I said earlier, beating myself up over it when it wasn't necessarily my fault. It wasn't necessarily the car's fault. It wasn't necessarily anybody else's fault. It just didn't work out the way that we wanted it to. Um, but I think those races were kind of really the big ones that I mentally was like, well, this sucked.
Okay, so I know that, obviously last few months, how have the holidays been for you and all that stuff, and what has life been like as the off season kind of rolls through with everybody?
Yeah, our off season's been eventful. I don't want to be all sad, but my rabbit, his name is Clyde, he passed away actually the week that we were leaving for Tucson to go to the turkey shoot for Thanksgiving. So that was hard. We got a puppy. She's a corgi. Her name is Rolo. She gives our border collie a run for her money. Um, and our holidays were good. We just hung out at home, except for Thanksgiving. We were at the racetrack. But for Christmas, we hung out at home. And so, yeah, now we're just kind of relaxing, getting ready for Tucson in a couple weeks for the Chili Willy.
Okay, so yeah, that kind of leads into the next thing I was going to talk about, 2024. What are your plans for the 2024 season?
So right now they're kind of up in the air. We are running the super late model. We don't know if we're running a full season in Colorado. Um, I'm assuming we kind of are. We're gonna run some SRL races for the Southwest Tour with the super late. SRL National is coming to Colorado, so we're gonna run that. We're running the Chili Willy in Tucson in January. And the rest of it's kind of undecided. So I guess everybody can just stay tuned for my schedule to be released.
Ooh, yeah, that should be pretty entertaining. Of course, and of course, you are going to run the Chili Willy, but obviously we'll yeah, stay tuned to the Cassidy Hinds Facebook, Twitter, or now known as X, or and Instagram accounts to find out what you're going to be doing. So, yeah, all right. I know we kind of did. I think we did this last time, but let's get to know you a little bit more, Cassidy. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Favorite let's see. Favorite all-time movie.
That's tough. Okay, I like this could sound so weird. I like the Jaws series,
Okay.
um, Jurassic Park series, and Fast and Furious series, and all three are like tied for first. So I
Okay.
don't have a favorite. All three of them are just my favorite.
Okay. Favorite TV or streaming show that you're into right now or were into in the past?
So my favorite right now is I'm watching Suits on Netflix.
Yeah.
But my all-time favorite is probably Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Let's see. Um, let's see. What's your go-to place for food?
My go-to place for food is Olive Garden. I love Olive Garden. It's the
Nothing
best thing
wrong.
ever.
Nothing wrong with that. Um, and finally, what is an interesting fact people might not know about you?
Ooh. Mm. I An interesting fact that I don't tell people about myself when they first meet me is I was born 5 months early, 4 months early.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, I was born at 26 weeks. So I was like a little tiny thing. I was like 2 pounds, 2 ounces in an incubator, on oxygen, all the 9 yards. I looked like a little alien, I like to tell myself.
Yeah, yeah, I know that's scary for a lot of people, but but look at where you're at now and all that. So that's
Yeah,
yeah. But Cassidy, thank you so much for the time as always, and we'll look forward to seeing what the rest of your 2024 plans are.
absolutely. Thank you so much.